So I will admit that I haven't played a zombie game in a very long time. The last time was probably The Last of Us, and that story in that game was fantastic. But it wasn't that kind of a survival game, if you know what I mean. I mean, it's not an open world, so to speak. And I never got into those open world games. Dead Rising seemed too comical with no drama. I may be wrong here, remember I haven't played this game. So Dead Rising seemed to have no drama and only being comical, something that I don't particularly want in a zombie game. And Dead Island, you know, it got a lot of backlash because of how the game was compared to how the trailer, you know, the trailer was dramatic, yet the gameplay again. I don't really know that much what happened, but I know the trailer was fantastic and the game got a lot of flack. And then I heard that this game, Dying Light, was coming out and I was slightly excited. Though I also heard that Techland, the people who made Dead Island, was making this game, and therefore I made sure to not watch any trailers. So I finally got the game, and what do I think? Well, we can start with the story, which is sadly the weakest part of this game, sadly. You are Kyle Crane, also known as the voice of Batman in Arkham Origins.
What do you mean 31? I can't defend Gotham. I can't even defend my own home.
Seriously, I couldn't stop thinking that I was Batman. Anyway, Crane is an agent for the humanitarian group, the GRE, and is sent on a mission to retrieve something stolen in the city of Haran. As he does his James Bond, he quickly realizes that the visit will be more problematic as this happens.
I'm Batman.
He then wakes up in a place called The Tower, where he meets a group of people struggling to survive, and as time goes by, this whole ordeal goes from being a professional mission to a personal one. While it isn't exactly original, the game does a really good job at making you interested at the beginning of the story. But that's pretty much the only thing the story portion does right. There are several problems with the story. Bland characters that you will never care about, and when the game does zombie cliché number 42, kill someone close to the main character, I couldn't care any less about these people. There is one point in the game where someone dies, and Crane says that the deceased were like his best friend. But they had no such moments at all. If to be brutally honest, I'm glad the person died, since the person had only been rude and stupid the entire game towards Crane. So why should I care for him? There was only one time I slightly got angry when a person died, but that is because that's the best character written in this game, and trust me, they're not that well written. Some characters even disappear in the story, and some of them are quite important at the beginning of the game. One person is called Brecken, who is pretty much the leader of the tower. He just disappears from the story, and it's never explained why.
Crane will go. He'll be
We're
happy to.
out of milk. As of the rest of the problems with the story, it's very predictable. I mean, I even considered at one point making a drinking game out of how many things I could predict that would happen in the game, but if I did that, then I would probably still have a hangover. I mean, in one point of the story, you have to work for this psychotic guy called Race, or Rice, Ross? Raish? I don't know, whatever. You have to work for this cycle because the tower needs antacin, which is like a, not a cure, but like a medication to halt the turning to become a zombie, because there are no cure, by the way, in the story, in this world. And so you have to do some labor work for him, and he tells you that, okay, if you do this for me, I will give you 2 crates, big ass crates of antacin. Now tell me, do you honestly think that he will give you those crates? Trust me when I say this, that there is no spoiler that, well, he says no, he doesn't give you any, because the story is so predictable. And every time the game actually did manage to surprise me, I actually got angry since it ruined whatever good it was doing in the beginning. I can't say what exact, since that is a crucial plot point in the game, but it does concern the main character. Again, poorly written characters, predictable story, and many glitchy scripted events that happens during the campaign of the game, but I will go deeper into that on the gameplay portion of this review. If there's one thing I can assume, then it's the fact that if you are considering buying the game, it will probably be because of the gameplay. If it was for the story, then it's really not worth it. The gameplay is a lot of fun, and it is the best part of the game, parkouring like a boss, scavenging places for trinkets and goods, and surviving a very tough world, at least at the beginning, as the game gets easier after you played it for a while. It does start out difficult. You only have like a plank to defend yourself with in the beginning, and it takes many hits to kill a zombie. You can't just spam attack either, as you have 2 types of stamina bars, one for running and one for attacking. If you run out of the attack stamina bar, you'll start to breathe heavy and you can't use your weapon efficiently. And if you sprint too much, you'll become exhausted.
Hey, would you like to hear about our savior Jesus?
Though strangely after a few seconds of being exhausted you can sprint again. Not normal, but okay I guess. Though I will admit that I really like the fact that you have a stamina bar for, you know, fighting, combat, because that makes you actually have to think a bit strategically, and also knowing the fact that your weapons can and will break. Then you need to kind of figure out when you should attack and when you should fix the items or the weapons, which you can fix them for a few couple of times, and you can even get a perk to fix them even more time, fix them even more after some use. But that's another very important thing about this game, and that's leveling up.
Ta-da!
There are 3 types of gameplay that you can level up. Your agility skill, your combat skill, and survivor skill. Your agility skill gets leveled up when you parkour, dodge, and do all sorts of things that something to do with moving or climbing and so on. Combat skill is in the word. You get experience by both attacking and killing, no matter what type of way you kill your enemy, direct or indirect. Your survivor skill is leveled up by doing missions, surviving the horrible night to have a curse, and just moving the story along. The perks you can gain can range all from being more sturdier in combat, being able to run for a longer time, and get more space in your inventory since you don't have unlimited space. Though you do have a bag on each safe house you come across, because that is another thing you can do in this game, finding and liberating safe houses from zombies. In a safe house you can sleep for about 9 hours, maybe buy a few things if there's a cellar in the area, though I never found myself buying anything in this game except bullets, which are cheap, and put stuff in your bag to get more room in your inventory. Now, I have mentioned a couple of times a night mode in the game, and this is where the going all parkour non-stop goes to run for your sweet ass life non-stop. At the beginning of the game, you keep hearing of something called the nightmares during the nighttime. No, I'm not talking about the stuff you wake up from. I'm talking about these efforts. These guys you do not want to fight. When you first meet them, you will die. The game puts you straight on their radar when you actually do not want to be seen by them at all. Kind of cheap of the game, though the story mode keeps doing that hundreds of times, though that's for later. When it is nighttime, your agility and combat ability are doubled, and you gain a lot of experience by actually being active during the night. I personally never found the nights to be that interesting, so every time, you know, the watch started beeping as I just ran towards the safe house, it became night, but I jumped over the fence, got into the bed and slept, and I got a ton of XP even though I did nothing in the night, but okay. And there are several times that you go into a story mission during the day, and when you get out and finish the mission, it's night, even though that during the mission, it was as sunny as a beach in Thailand. During the day, because, you know, it can also be dark in a beach. And finally, in the gameplay department, you can find a lot of things around to use them to make stuff. In other words, a crafting system. Now, I found the ultimate combo. 2 things you should always have on you: firecrackers and a Molotov cocktail. Trust me, it makes all the non-scripted fights much easier. Okay, this is an important thing I need you to understand before I go into the problems with the gameplay. And that is the fact that all of the problems I will mention now happen during story mode. And, you know, it really made the story mode quite frustrating. The gameplay is extremely fun outside of story mode when you're just running around and surviving. But during story mode, eesh. The AI is stupid as bread. Zombies not knowing how to freaking go through an open door. Zombies that somehow can see you when they're on a different floor. And zombies that's in another room who can see you because you're in camouflage mode. But the second the camouflage goes off, they can see you. What? And probably the worst thing, regular bandits who only have knives and baseball bats, mind you, that doesn't go into cover once you start shooting them from another roof. They only taunt you after killing their friends, so what the fuck? Big zombies that are supposed to be hard to kill are extremely easy to kill once you get the dodge perk, making all bosses in this game easy as an old Victorian age harlot. Though don't worry, the developers clearly knew this, and once you've taken enough damage of the boss, ads drop in every boss fight. It's except the final boss fight, which suddenly changes its gameplay to something the game never made you do earlier during the story. Quick time events? And it is eerily similar to the ones in Far Cry 3, only this one is way worse in quality. Scripted events that breaks the game's own rules. As an example, you'll eventually meet a zombie type that is a screamer. If it screams, other zombies will arrive on the spot. Though in these scripted events, if you actually silence the baby screamer thing, they will show up anyway. I hate it when game does this. You can't trust the game after it does that. And there are some difficulty spikes later in the game. It just throws stuff at you, and instead of enjoying the game, I became frustrated. And if you turn frustrated in the game, then what's the point of playing at all? Games are supposed to make you happy, not throw your controller in a wall and curse the developers for their stupid choices. Whew, okay, sorry about that. Again, remember that most of the stuff I talked about right now is our problems around the story mode. The gameplay during story mode, except the AI part, they're pretty stupid. Now, I have a few more faults to talk about the gameplay, but these are more nitpicks. Okay, for one, the mission setup is where you go from point A to point B and then return to point A, but the parkouring makes this livable. Every zombie types except the regular, normal zombies, like the exploding zombies or the acid-spitting zombies, only have like one model. So you'll see the same fat guy in the same clothes run towards you all the time. It gets really annoying. Another thing that is not a nitpick is that once you get the dodging perk, every big enemy will be hassle-free to kill and almost boring once it is one-on-one. Look at this! I've seen this same fight over and over and over and over again. That's not a good thing. And the two final nitpicks are that I never used the store to buy anything except bullets. The sellers felt almost useless. If you were watching this and you've played the game and you used them a lot, then I don't know what you bought, because I found no use for them whatsoever. And finally, the fact that this game never tells you anything. Just a question to other people who have played the game. Is it possible to block? Enemies can do it, can I? The game never told me. I know I ended this review by talking a lot of negatives about the game, but remember that most of them is only during the story mode, which is important, but the main gameplay, if you just want to, you know, bring a lot of friends together and play multiplayer with them in this world and survive, I haven't done that sadly, then this is probably a zombie lover's game come true, a dream come true for them. I will say that the sound design is pretty good, and the game does look fantastic, and I can only and that's on the PS4, and I can only imagine how it would look on a powerful PC. Though I've heard that the PC have had a few problems, even though you have a powerful PC. I'm a bit unsure, but I've only heard that. Please, you should probably do some research. I didn't want to. This game gets a 7 out of 10. The story is horrible, and the gameplay during the story. Everything else is pretty fantastic and a lot of fun. I will say that the reason it didn't get a higher score was because of the AI, and also because of all the problems with the story mode, pretty much. It left me frustrated, and the only reason I was able to go through the entire story is because when you push start, you can see like a percentage on how far you're in the story, which normally I hate in video games, because then you're kind of like, oh my god, I'm probably gonna get some plot twist right now, but in that game it was pretty good. Anyway, I'm KingJGrim, or the King of Games, whatever you prefer. And I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching my review. It truly makes me happy like a butterfly right out of its cocoon. Anyway, if you liked what you saw, then please leave a like. And if you're new and you liked the video, then maybe you want to push that nice yellow subscribe button. Up to you. Only if you enjoyed it, of course. But to maybe convince you of my genius intellect, have a look at one of the 2 videos on the right side there. If you push the upper video, then you will go to a new series of mine where I play an old game, a more comedic video. Though if you like a critical mind, but some comical stuff, then click on the lower video, a review of Super Smash Bros. For the Wii U. While you think of doing that, I will go and enjoy this fine day with some coffee. I'm KingJGrim, or the King of Games, whatever you prefer. I'll see you guys next time.